Hello everyone, my name is Akshaj and this is a video where I'm explaining Python strings. In Python, strings are basically text enclosed in single quotes, double quotes or triple quotes. Single quotes and double quotes are basically the same, but triple quotes are used only in multi-line strings, as you can see in this example here. In Python, strings are sequences, so each character has a specific position called or an index. So, for example, I have a word called Python. Python has 6 characters, 6 letters, so when I try to find the length of the word using the length function, it gives me 6 correctly. Now we'll talk about indexing. In Python, every character in a string has an index. In Python, it's important to remember that Python starts counting from 0, not 1. So the first character of a string will have an index of 0, and the second will have an index of 1, and third will have an index of 2. This is the forward indexing. There's also something called a negative indexing, where you can try to find the indexing from backwards. So the -1 index will be for the last letter of the string, and for example in Python, as it has 6 letters, -6 will have the index of the first character. We'll see an example here. We have a word called Python. When I try to find the index of the 0th index, the character for the 0th index, it gives me P. And when I try to find the index of the 5th character, it gives me N, the last character. It also works through the negative indexing as seen here. So we'll see a small code where I have to extract the first letter of a username. So I have a variable called username, and I have also another variable called avatar initial, where it will find the 0th index of the username and convert it into upper character. And when I try to run it, it gives me correctly R. Similarly, I can also find the last character of a string using the -1 index, as you can see here. Next, we'll talk about slicing. Slicing is very important in Python because it helps us find a portion of a string. It consists of a start value, stop value, and a step value. Start value is basically the index where you have to begin with. Stop value is basically the index where you have to end. But important notice that the stop value is not the index it'll end on. It'll end on the index previous to it. For example, if you put the stop value as 3, you have to end it at 2, not 3. The next is the step value, and step value basically tells Python how many characters it has to jump. In Python, the default step value is 1, and you can change it to any number you want. We'll see a small example here. For example, we have a text called Python. In Python, we want to start from 0 and end to 3. So we'll take the first 3 characters. So 0, 1, 2, PYT, as you can see in the answer here. Similarly, 2 to 5, it'll start from 2 and end at 4. And when I put only the start value of 1 and no stop value, basically what it'll do, it'll start from the Y and go to the full end of the string. And when I put a stop value without a start value, it will start from the beginning and end on the 4th character. And when you do not put a start or a stop value, it will basically text the whole string, as you can see here. The next thing is step parameter, which tells how many characters to jump. For example, if I put a step value of 2, it will jump every 2nd character, and when I put a step value of 3, it will jump every 3rd character, as you can see here. And if you put a step value of -1, it reverses the entire string. As you can see, we have a small code here that it helps us pass a URL. If we want to find a protocol, the HTTPS, we need the first 5 characters of a string. So we can put a stop value of 5 without a start value. And when we want to find the URL video ID of the URL, which means the last letters, we can use the last 6 letters as the first 6 letters from behind as the value, as you can see here. Now we'll talk about some important string functions in Python. Python has some built-in string functions that come attached to every string, and you can find them from the string.method. And we'll go through some important ones, starting with case methods. In Python, there are various things like .upper, which converts everything to all caps. Lower converts everything to lowercase. .title converts every letter of the first letter of every word to a capital letter. Capitalize converts the first letter of the entire string to capital, and swap case converts the uppercase to lowercase and lowercase to uppercase, as you can see here. Next, we'll talk about white space and clearing. White space are basically extra space in a string. We can clear them using the strip function. Strip function removes white space from both the sides, while lstrip removes white space from the left side only. Rstrip removes from the right side, as you can see here. Next, we can also search words in a string using the .find option. Basically, if I put Python in it, as Python is in the string, in this sentence, as you can see, it'll give me where the first occurrence happens. Python is the first word, so it'll give me index of 0. And what happens if I don't have a word in it? For example, if I try to find Java in it, which is not in the string, it'll give me -1. -1 does not mean it's the last character. It basically means here that it does not exist. There's another option called to find search inside a string using the .index function. For example, if I put .index of fun, it'll give me 10, as 10th is the 10th character here. And but I put for something does not exist, it'll give me a value error. The difference between .find and .index is basically, if a thing does not exist, find will give us -1, while .index will give us a value error. You can also find the number of times a word or anything appears using the .count function. For example, we have Python here. Python appears twice, so it'll give us the option 2. You can also check if a particular word exists using true or false by using the word in the variable, as you can see here. Next, we'll talk about starts with and ends with. They are basically used to check if a character or set of characters exists in a particular string or not. For example, starts with gives us checks if the character is in the beginning, and ends with here checks if the character is in the end. Next, we'll talk about split and join. Split basically breaks a string into a list of parts. For example, we have a full name called Riya Sharma. When I try to split it on space, it'll break into two elements of a string, Riya and Sharma, as you can see here. And join is basically the opposite of split. While split breaks, join combines a list into a string. For example, I have a list called words, which has Python is awesome, and when I try to join it using a variable called sentence, and when I try to print it, it just gives me an entire string, as you can see here. Next, we can also check if a word or something is present or not. Some like string contents. For example, if we want to check if 1, 2, 3 is a digit, we can check using the .isDigit function. And if we want to check if a letter or a set of characters is alphabet, we can check using the .isAlpha function. And if you want to check if a string consists of alphabets and numeric numbers, we can check them using the .alnum function. And if you want to check a list of blank space, you can check from using .isSpace. Or if you want to check if a string is in title case, which means the first letter of the entire string of every word is in uppercase, then you can check using the .isTitle function. You can also check if a word is uppercase using the .isUpper, or is it lower from the isLower. But it's important to know that these all return in true or false only, as you can see here. We'll see a small real life example of a form validation. We have a PIN code, a username, and a password. This is invalid because the password cannot have space. So when I try to see this, it tells me the PIN is valid, as you can see. Username is also valid, but password is invalid because it tells us we cannot put space in a password. So that is all for the video. Thank you.